Well, for sure, I'm really happy with it. I feel like I, could play proactively from the beginning and just didn't stop. So I'm just happy that this was such a nice first round, because first rounds are usually tricky. And also I'm happy that I kind of had time to implement all the stuff that I practiced on.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Questions, name and affiliation? You want to ask later? Okay. Courtney.
Courtney Nguyen, WTA. Congrats, Iga. You say first rounds are tricky. You also have one of the best first round records at the slams on the tour. So, I mean, what's tricky about them in light of, the fact that you win most of them?
Well, it depends. There's always, different obstacle. Sometimes you just, I don't know. Well, for sure, on other tournaments, I think it's even more tricky, because on slams, we usually have time to get used to the court, or to just, have more time to feel everything better. So we're not like, we have usually 1 week off before, but usually this is, the case, that you have to just get used to everything, and sometimes you just feel a little bit more pressure because you're like not into rhythm yet, and you just have to kind of, you can get distracted more easily, I feel. I remember when I played my first matches on US Open, I always felt like there's so much going on around, and it was a little bit tougher to focus. But this year I didn't feel it, because I practiced a couple of times on the center court, and even with all the kids around, because I think the entry was free, and really so many people came to watch our practices. It was pretty amazing, and I got used to the noise and everything.
Andrew.
Andrew Jones, ESPN and Skate. Iga, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
You have this growing bond with Michaela Schifrin, and also Lindsey Vonn being a fan of yours. Is there something where skiing is a sport that you enjoy, or is something that you even have time to do on the side? Just your whole thoughts and your relationship with them. Yeah.
No, like last time I skied was when I was 7, and I almost literally, I had accident that I could have died, so I really got scared. They don't get scared that easily, but this for sure stopped me, and that was the last time, and I'm sad about it, because now when I'm a pro, I don't really have time to do sports like that, and I wish I could, but for sure, it was a kind of traumatic experience for me when I was younger, so. So maybe it was wise, to stop, because when you're scared of such sports that, kind of when you need, a little bit higher adrenaline, and when you need to be focused and ready, it's pretty dangerous, But for sure, I'm happy that, I had a chance to meet them. I mean, I haven't met Michaela yet, because she's like always, on tour the same as me, and it's hard to find time. But they're huge inspirations for me, and I don't know, I just feel like our sports are kind of connected, because these are the only two sports where I feel like individual with like women's kind of having, I don't know, the same events and the same, rhythm as guys, and we kind of have similar experiences. Especially I feel that when I hear all the interviews of Michaela, I feel like we're kind of the same sometimes. So it's just nice to have somebody you can look up to, and that shares the same experiences that you can learn from. So I'm happy that they're also so open to talk about everything, and that's pretty cool.
Greg.
Iga, next up is Daria Sabonis. What are your thoughts of going in against her? She was joking just now and says about her playing you. I just hope I don't get double bageled. But she said it's pretty exciting to be playing on one of the biggest courts, and her goal, her aim on this comeback was to play on the biggest courts at all the majors. So your thoughts?
Well, honestly, I have to analyze her game, because I think we may have played once, and before, her injuries or surgery that she has, I'm not sure what's her story, but she's a great person. We always, when we pass each other, we say hi, and she's really positive, So about the game, I can't really say a lot, and I'll for sure get prepared, but it really doesn't matter for me. I have my image of tennis that I want to play and show, and I'm just gonna try to focus on myself, and every match is, really important. So it doesn't matter for me who's gonna be on the other side or what court it's gonna be. I just wanna, play my best game that's possible any day. And yeah, I'll get ready for sure.
Okay, Billie?
Willie Weinbaum from ESPN. What are your favorite aspects of playing at the U.S. Open, and what are your least favorite aspects of playing there?
I don't know, because it's like changing every year, because every year I feel like I can handle a little bit more, So for sure when I was younger, the amount of people, it was all really, overwhelming for me. And before, these courts were, like a couple of years ago, especially during pandemic, these courts were the fastest on tour. Now it's like switching back a little bit, because I remember my coach said when Aga played, it was slower than Australian Open here. But during pandemic, it was much faster, and for sure it was really kind of hard for me when I didn't have skills yet to play against, players that have been on tour and can play any surface, So it's changing every year. I don't feel like it's like really hard for me to focus right now. So I really enjoy the noise and the crowd, and it's giving me a lot of energy. And it did, especially last year when at the last stages I was pretty tired. And I really like maybe the traffic sometimes. Yeah, I don't like the traffic.
Bill?
Bill Simons, Inside Tennis.
This is a very, very general question, but you're still a young person, but you've been playing tennis for a long time. If you had to really step back and just reflect on what this sport, the life lessons or the insights, if you had to pick one or two that tennis has given to you as a young person, what could you possibly say?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because it's hard to like find the lesson that is gonna that I'm gonna be able to use for the rest of my life. It's more like, for sure, I learned that you're not gonna be ready, and you're not gonna be feeling 100% on every tournament, and you're not gonna kind of be prepared for every tournament. But you still have to, give your best and play your best tennis, and you still can win matches, even though you're feeling like that. Because when I was younger, I felt like when I had this in the back of my mind, I already started, from the little bit lower position. And now I know that the tour is so long that it's impossible to get ready for every tournament, and you just have to kind of go with the flow and play your best game possible. And I don't know, there are so many lessons, like it's hard to like pick one. I don't know, this sport like forced me kind of to grow up faster and to develop my mental skills, physical, and my knowledge about tennis overall. That it's just I'm kind of so connected to the sport that it's hard for me to like look at it from a distance and just pick one lesson, But I don't know. Maybe when I'll be older, I'll be wiser, and I'll be able to answer the question.
Two more questions in English. 1, 2.
Hi, Iga. Congratulations, Catherine Risky Tennis Podcast. You said in the answer to the first question that you were happy today with how you implemented things that you've been working on in practice. I just wondered if you could share what those things are.
Well, I would like to keep it kind of, in my team's bubble, because these are the things that I want to improve. So I don't feel like there's a space for me to talk about it. But for sure, I felt really confident today, and I'm happy that I had time to practice, because honestly, this season has been so intense that there hasn't been, much time for me to practice. I just practiced like before Montreal and before Wimbledon, but on different surface. So I'm happy that I had the time, and I feel more solid now. But I won't tell you specifically, I'm sorry.
Last question in English.
Hello, Iga. Pradua Hegde, Times of India. I wanted to ask you about, you spoke about fatigue after Cincinnati. I wonder how much of that is mental and how much of that is physical, and how were you able to recover and get yourself together before you? So.
Well, I would say every match was really intense in Cincinnati, and sometimes I had to, come back from, being in trouble. So The fatigue was both, mental and physical. Also because, it's second part of the season, so you already feel like you've played so many matches and so many tournaments that it's just it takes you a little bit longer to, recover compared to like first part of the season. But it's combined, These matches were really long and intense and in really humid conditions, and it was hot, so it wasn't easy for body and mind as well because, mentally I needed to kind of push, and kind of go beyond my comfort zone on every match. But I don't remember the second part.
What have you done to recover?
Well, I just had a few days off, and that's enough for me at that stage. Nothing special, just, kind of, I was still, busy, but I wasn't, practicing, and I just enjoyed these days when I didn't have to, do the whole, warm-up routine, and I just, also kind of went to the city and just enjoyed New York a little bit, and yeah.